You've read the books, you've listened to the podcast, you've reflected on the journals, but why do you still feel like the same person? It's because learning about growth is not the same as actually growing. Today on our episode, we are starting a new series on the 10 hardest lessons about personal development. We're diving into why healing might actually make you less tolerant of the people around you and why outgrowing a dream hurts more than failing one. We're stripping away the feel-good side of self-help to talk about the messy reality of losing yourself before finding yourself. This is part 1 of the hardest truths humanity needs to face. If you've ever felt like your healing journey is making life harder, point number 3 will explain exactly why. Let's get into it. You can read, learn, and reflect and still avoid change. You can read, learn, reflect, and still avoid change.
It cuts deep, that one, because there's sort of, to learn new things and to be able to do new things, you do need to learn how to do them. So we're not saying don't learn at all. And you can't really take action without knowing. That's got to be said. However, reading and learning, instead of doing the thing and to use as a justification for putting off doing the thing, is a terrible idea. Because most people, in my opinion, learn by doing. I don't think most people learn by just reading or watching. I feel like actually implementing things is the number one way to learn because it's hands-on experience. It's far more visceral than conceptually, theoretically, hypothetically learning and then applying. It doesn't work in quite the same way. So reading something over and over and over, and then the thing is, it's the old thing of the more you know, the more you realise you don't know.
Yeah.
So then you're perpetuated in this cycle of, oh, well, if I couldn't start before because I didn't know anything, now I'm aware of how much more there is to know, and I don't know that at all. Therefore, I really can't start because I need to know X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like, you know.
Yeah, I suppose people treat personal development almost like an intellectual comfort. So rather than trying to actually implement change, which is uncomfortable, gross, messy, uncomfortable, I suppose is the key word, they use it as a comfort to tell themselves that change is happening. So if you can read the books, you can intellectualize what it actually sounds like to change. You can avoid actually doing the hard work because you're just maybe satisfying the intellectual need. But it's almost like, have you heard the term personal development junkie?
Maybe.
Someone got coined as the new personal development wave struck over. So personal development junkie is someone that's deeply passionate about self-improvement. So they'll consume the books, the podcasts, go to seminars to listen about areas sort of mindset, growth, habits, whatever, it might be. But they can get stuck in the consumption phase rather than practice phase. So they aim for the growth, whether that's mental, again, physical, emotional, whatever it might be. But they don't actually make the change to make themselves a better person. It's almost like they've got analysis paralysis,
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that personal development phase of just learning. Why do we think people get stuck in the learning about personal development?
Because I think you probably get the same dopamine response as actually doing it. Like you can, and also so you get hit twice. So you get the dopamine thing that's self-fulfilled of you actually learning the thing. You then get the dopamine response from you telling other people, oh, I'm going to a seminar on self-development, and everyone else is like, oh yeah, well done, you're going to this, you must be really improving yourself. And you're like, yeah, I am, I'm going to these things. And the thing is, it's easy to mask what doing the thing is, because if you are physically going to a seminar, you are actually doing something. You are actually going there. You've taken it from just behind a book or whatever. So now you can persuade yourself you're doing the thing, when really, what has fundamentally changed in your life? Nothing, because you've made no changes.
What I'm curious of there, I think you're right. I definitely want to circle back to those sort of barriers that people put in, or rather tell themselves. But yeah, really curious of the outside influence on personal development, because you've touched on it. I think that's definitely valid, that by telling people you're going to do these things, you're probably going to get the dopamine response, or people rewarding you for telling them you're doing it. Whereas, I don't know about you, but my personal experience on personal development has always been very personal. I'm not going to tell you that I've gone to therapy every week and the work that it requires to show up every week for that. You need to almost be a little bit protective of your personal development. You can definitely let people in. There can be such a positive thing to be said for outside influences, but if it's just the sake of sharing for wanting to get the praise, it's only going to have a negative impact on self-development.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole reason for doing self-development is so that you fundamentally feel more self-acceptance. So trying to get that dopamine rush from somebody else automatically contradicts the sole purpose for you doing it.
It's an internal battle, isn't it? Like you say, so to bring someone into that development or allow them a leading role almost is only more damaging because you're then taking more of a passive role. Yeah, you definitely need to take more ownership of those sort of environments for sure. So you can read, learn, reflect, and still avoid change. So again, why do people avoid change? Because it feels uncomfortable.
It's doing something different to your status quo. Like if you always used to get up, go to the McDonald's drive-through, come back home, eat it, maybe go and do some work for a bit, then go to a different fast food chain, eat some lunch, and then sit and be in the scroll hole, as you call it, or doom scrolling for the rest of the internet. I'm sure it's actually a term. I don't know why. I just haven't heard of it. And that's just your daily routine. And then probably order in a Domino's for saying other pizzas are available. You just do that, and that's your routine. So for you to change that, like, okay, I'm going to change one thing because I'm going to approach it sensibly. I'm going to just change my breakfast. Well, that's an active change when you're probably least motivated. Well, I don't know if you're least motivated at the start of the day, but when I first wake up, I'm really groggy. I don't really want to think about, I'm making a positive change in my life. I want to think about, I've just got to drag myself out of bed at this point. Like, I don't want to think, I'm so excited to go and have my oatmeal. It's compared to McDonald's drive-through. Like, obviously, it's going to be tastier. It's made by somebody else. You don't have that. All you've got to do is a bit of drive-in. Food is brought to you after a 4-minute wait or something.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, so avoiding change is inherently uncomfortable. It's also safer as well. So understanding your patterns, so learning, reading, going to the seminars, reflecting on your patterns is a lot safer than trying to drive a wedge between them. Like whether it's perceived danger or not, whether it's actual danger or not, like you said, keeping in that routine, it breeds comfort. It breeds predictability. But that doesn't breed growth. And in that sort of predictability, that comfort, you can have all the space in the world for reading the books or doing the daily well, I suppose actually doing meditation is probably more, but actually making positive change, whether it's improving your diet, starting a business, going to the gym, starting a hobby, doing online learning courses to become better in your chosen field, that's change. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it requires an actual change from the status quo. Yeah. So avoiding change, I suppose, is the first place people need to start. And I suppose it's asking, why am I avoiding the change? What is it about the change that's inherently uncomfortable? Does it mean that it would throw relationships into question? Does it mean it would throw your career into question? Does it mean it would throw your life choices up until this point into question? It could be as small as the way you dress. Or it could be as big as you've made some interesting life choices and now you're in a dead-end job where you're feeling a severe lack of inspiration.
Yeah. I think another reason people might not change, it's just come to me. I've drawn a link between something Alex Hormozy said and this thing. So Alex Hormozy said there's two different types of content. And he was doing it in the context of if you're making an information product, like selling a course. People are like, I don't want to give away all the secrets for free to promote it, but they're the high value things that then would, actually sell, and that's what I want to sell. That's the value. And he said there's two different types. And there's content which is promoting the dream, and then there's content which is selling the actual step-by-steps. Most of the time, people consume promoting the dream style content, which is here's how to make $1 million, and oh look, you can get these nice flashy cars, and this guy set up a business, and he first started off with one restaurant, built that up, got the staff, and then went to 2 restaurants. Then he opened it up as a franchise, got a percentage of loads of them. Now there's 100 across the country, and he's worth X millions of dollars. That's not told you how to do it. It's surface level told you, because you know you start with 1 restaurant and then you go to 2, but you probably could have worked that out for yourself. The actual how to do it would be in the course, which would be, first of all, you need to work and fully get yourself legislated and all of that stuff, get yourself insured and set up get the premises. Here's how you find the premises. Here's how the EPOS system you must use, and here's the hiring process and how you should prioritize who you hire at this time, what sort of equipment you will need. Here's an equipment list. It's like, that's the actual you learning how to do it. But I feel like most people, getting back to the point of, delaying change, is they've consumed so much of this promotional dream that they've never actually learned how to implement change. They've just learned what other people have done and achieved, very surface level, but they've heard lots of those stories. So they're most motivated, but have no idea actually how to do it. So consuming some step-by-step, tangible, actionable step type information would be useful to you at that point.
Why do we think people automatically choose, or not automatically, but prefer to choose to consume the dream content?
I think because that's where you want to be, and therefore, who am I going to listen to? The person who's telling me that the first thing I should do is tidy my room, or the person that's talking about all the things I want and desire? Like, you're automatically going to be drawn to the sexy stuff. The unsexy stuff of the process of, first you need to tidy your room. Then, once you've got 1 room in order, you need to tidy the rest of your flat. Then after you tidied your flat, you need to actually, set up some sort of website that people can purchase, and go through the steps. Like, that is stepwise and essentially very easy to do each one of those steps, and breaking it down that granular is actually how you get there. But when you break down, like, you imagine talking about, franchised out but 100 restaurants, where you are, when you break it down step by step like that, that is far away. But when you can just go straight to hearing the story about the person that did it, you feel like you're already closer to it.
Yeah, you can almost assimilate yourself on top of it rather than understanding the growth that gets to it. And people don't want to see how far behind they are. If they can see the gap between where they could be but actually where they are, that feels very scary. Reminds me of the quote, which is like, pure hell is when the person you could have been meets the person you are. And I know we've both said we use that as inspiration on a daily, because I could not imagine a worse reality of meeting someone that has everything you've said you've wanted and has only got it because they actually work to achieve it. That must be so demoralizing. But you said it in your monologue there, which is personal change. Was what it was. Personal change is not sexy.
No.
It's not. The process of change, whether it's personal, relational, working towards a better life, however that might seem, process is difficult, it's uncomfortable, it involves vulnerability and hard work. Those are not traits we deem to be sexy, ironically, because I don't know about you, if I was looking for a partner and some of their traits were they were happy to have difficult conversations, they're strong and rigid because they've been through uncomfortable times, they're happy being vulnerable with me, they do not shy away from hard work, I'd be like, sign me up, that's the person I want to be with, because they can go through hard times. But yeah, personal change is not sexy because it requires the depart from the comfort zone, the normality. It requires you breaking repetition, and repetition breeds comfort. And again, back in the comfort zone, but repetition breeds safety. If you know that next day is going to be the same as today, which was the same as yesterday, you'll likely feel quite safe. You'll likely not feel the need to change.
Yep. Humans love routine.
We do. We fear uncertainty as well. So the process of moving into the unknown, which can bring a risk of failure or things going wrong, the uncertainty causes anxiety. And people tend to try and avoid anxiety.